Hello there. So, in the last tutorial, we dealt with our transactions page. We laid it out, uh, formatted the screen, the page, so that we can display the data that we want to in the way we want to. You can see that I have, since the last tutorial, filled out a load of fake data in for us to work with in today's tutorial. So I've got 5 different forms of income, and I've got around 20 expenses for this month. Notice that all apart from the top one, which I'm going to just change that date now to the 10th there. Oh, no, I want that to be in January. Let's put it on the 8th. So, what I've done here is I've made sure that they're all in the same month, because this is a monthly budget spreadsheet. I've come up with a range of different expenses that come under different categories. So the aim of the tutorial today is to do a bit of analysis on our expenses and on our income, to be able to only view the parts of this data that we want to, and then compare it with the rest of the data. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to lay out the page. To do that, first step I'm going to do is I'm going to double the height of that top column. I'm going to click on the 1 to select the whole column. I'm going to color it this dark blue. I'm going to then click on the M to select the column M, the whole of the column M. Scroll to the right, hold Shift down on the keyboard and click Z to select all of those columns. Right click on the top there and delete those columns. We're not going to need any of them. So I've now got columns A to L. The next step, we're going to name the page. So this page is going to be our analysis page. So I'm going to go into column B here. I'm going to make sure that my text appears in white. I'm going to make it roboto. I'm going to make it italic, and I'm going to type analysis. I'm going to format this text so it appears in the middle of the cell. I now need to sort out my borders for the page, so I'm going to decrease the width of the A column by grabbing that line in between the A and B column and pulling it left. I'm going to do the same with the L column, which is my border on the other end. I'm now going to select row 3, and I'm going to double its height. In cell B3, I'm going to write proportion of total expenses. As you can see, it overruns into the next cell, so I need to turn on word text wrapping, and I want the wrap, which is the middle option there, and it will put it in that cell so that it all stays in the cell. Again, I'm going to make sure that the text is aligned to the middle, so it's not at the bottom or the top, it's hanging in the middle. I'm going to leave this cell blank. We'll come back to that in a minute. I'm now going to move across to the G column, and I'm going to do proportion of total income. Again, I'm going to center that in the middle of the cell and wrap it so that it stays within the cell. I'm now going to move down to cell B5, and I'm going to, from transactions page, I'm going to copy the expenses so that we get the same color and font. So right click on the cell, copy, go to my analysis, right click, paste, and I'm going to do the same for income. Right click, copy, cell G5, right click, paste. So I've got my income and expenses areas of the page. I'm going to now reduce the height of the column 6 and then highlight the whole width of the page, and I'm going to put a bottom border on there. I'm going to then move down to column 7, row 7, sorry. I'm going to reduce its height a little bit, and then in B8 I'm going to type expenses category, oops, got my Y. I'm going to, you can see it's overlapping, I'm going to make my column B a bit wider to accommodate these, so I think I'm going to take it to double the width. And I'm over here, income category, again I'm going to double the width of the G column. So we're going to be here allowing ourselves to choose from a drop down, just as we did here on the transactions page. To do that, I'm going to click on this cell, I'm going to go to data, data validation, list from a range. So we want to create a list from a range within the spreadsheet. So I click on this little button here, and I can now choose the range. So I'm going to go back to my summary page, and I'm going to select these cells here. You can say B20 to B30, but if you have more, obviously you select all the ones that you have. Click OK, and I'm going to reject input. So if they don't choose one of those from the range, then it's going to cause an error and tell you you've picked wrongly. Click save, and now I have the little drop down, and I can select whichever one of those options I want. Next, I'm going to make this cell a bit bigger, double the width again, and put this as in the middle. I'm going to select the whole page and select by clicking this top corner up here. Select the whole page. I'm going to select Roboto, just so that all of the font on the page is the same. I'm going to make this bold, and I'm going to increase its size up to 14. There we go. This cell here is now going to read like that, which we don't want it. We want it in the middle. So I'm going to put that back in the middle. I'm going to make that a bit smaller. It doesn't need to be quite as thick as it was. I need to do the same over here with the income category now. So first thing I'll do, change it up to 14, make it bold, put it in the middle, and the cell next to it we need to do the data validation again. So I click on data validation. I then click on this little button here because we want a list from a range. We go back to the summary page, and this time we select the income options. Click OK, and reject input, and click save. We now have a drop down here that we can pick. Again, you can see it's in the middle. It needs to be in the middle again. So we click here, vertical align, middle. So I'm now able to select the different categories that I want to do some analysis on. I want to make these two a bit bigger, their font, and I want to make them bold, so I'm going to take them up to 14 and make them bold, both of those two. So now here we want to display all the data from our transactions page from all of this, but only the data from here that has the category that we choose. So if I selected, I don't know, food for instance, I would want it to display all of the transactions we made that have the food category and just them. So to do that, I'm going to use what's called the filter function. It's a very, very useful function, the filter function. So I'm going to be selecting all of that, and I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to leave this row here because I'm going to be putting in some totals once we've done the filter. And so on this row, I'm going to select all the way across. I'm going to put a bottom border in so that I know that this cell, I'll do my totals. I'll do that towards the end. So in cell B10, I'm now going to put in a function that is going to filter this data here to only display what we choose in this drop-down. To do that, first of all, whenever we type in a function or a formula, we need the equal sign. We then type filter, open brackets. We now see here that we have to select the range that we want it to filter. So this is the data that we are wanting it to filter through. So we want the range to be this range here. Oops, I don't know what's happening there. Let's try that again. Equals filter. Transactions. Why has it got that menu? There we go. So I don't want the category column because we're going to be selecting that. Now I could just select the data that I want up to there, but if later on we added more data, we would want this sheet, the analysis, to be able to account for that extra information. So instead of putting a number on the end of the D column, so it's this range begins at B5 and currently ends at D25. But I want it to actually do the whole, all the way to the bottom of this sheet, all the way down here, down to 1,000. Now I could type D1000 here, and you can see that that has selected the whole column all the way down to the bottom. Oh no, 100 there, 1,000, there we go. Select all the whole column all the way down to the bottom, but I can do it even quicker by just putting D. By doing D, whatever number of cells, whatever number of rows, I should say, that we have in this spreadsheet, it is going to go all the way to the bottom of that. I'm going to now put a comma in to separate. Oh, that's a full stop. A comma to separate. We've moved on from the range. We have given the function the transactions B5 to D range, and now I need a condition. This is what it's going to use to split this data up, and the condition I'm going to give it is the category. So I'm now going to select this category, and again I can just select here E5 to E25, but if I remove the numbers and just do E5 to E, E5 comma E, it will E5 colon E, we'll be able to select the entire column, however long it is, and I want to say wherever select this information here wherever this information is equal to what's in that cell. So I put the equal sign, go back to my analysis page. So we're selecting all the information from this range where that column, the category column, is equal to whatever's we put in this cell. And now when I press put close bracket to finish the function, and when I press enter, you can see now what it's done is select all of the data that we had, the date, the amount, and the type, the description that we had. I do want some headings at the top here so that I know what this data is. So I'm just going to grab this cell. I'm going to wait until my cursor turns to a hand. That means I can move that. I'm just going to drag it down one, just to give myself some space up here that I can write the column headings: date, amount, description. And I'm going to highlight these. I'm going to make them bold. With the date, I'm going to put the date as left align. I'm going to leave the, I think I'll actually put it all as left align. Let's grab it all and select it all as left align. I'm going to make it's already formatted, you can see the amount as currency because it's pulled the formatting from here. But I might want to make them bold, maybe. No, I'll leave them as non-bold. So I now need to do the same process on the income category side. So to do that, we'll repeat the process. So first of all, let's put in our date, amount, and description. And I'm going to make those bold. I'm now going to click in G11, click equals, filter. The range I want to filter is this time over here. I want to, don't include the category, remember. And then I type a comma there so that I have told the function that I've finished adding the range, and I'm now going to add the condition. The condition is where, I do want to increase this for the whole column, remember, so that we can include any others that we add at a later date. I then want to make the condition where this column, delete the numbers to get the full column, J5 colon J, gives me the whole column, where that column is equal. What's happened there? If this happens, and it's because it's deselected the cell somehow. So I'm just going to click on the cell and carry on typing in here. So equals this cell. And it will automatically select all the information from here where other is the category. So we've got Grandma gift and Dave paid me back. It appears I lent Dave quite a bit of money there. So now we can change this and change this, and it will change the information that is displayed. Next step, totals. I want to be able to add up all of the amounts in these columns based on what we've chosen to save, to filter by. So I'm going to write totals here. Let's give it a capital T. And again here. I'm going to make this cell italic and this cell italic. And now here I'm going to tell it to sum this column. So equals sum, open brackets. Click on the top cell that I wanted to sum, start dragging down, but then I'm going to delete the two numbers so that I get the full column. Close brackets, enter. And you can see it's added these three values in this case up. But if we were to change this to food, you can see it's now adding a greater number together, a greater number of rows together. Repeat the process on this side. Is equal to sum. Click on the top cell, start dragging down, and then delete the two numbers and close the brackets. In this case, there's only one number to add together, so it's the same number. But if I was to change to wages, maybe, it's going to add a lot more. So, I'm going to make these two italic too, like so. Finally, proportion of total expenses. So what I want to now know is, of all of the amount of money that I have spent, this value here, how much of my total money that I've spent is this? So we're going to calculate a percentage here. So the first thing I need to do is type in my formula. It's going to be equal to, first of all, this value here, divided by, and you can use the / to do divided by, sum, open brackets. So we're going to add together all of this column to get all of our expenses, close brackets, enter. And you can see it gives us a decimal, but we want to have this as a percentage. So if I click on this and now go to format number percent, it shows you that I have, of all the money that I spent this month, the amount I spent on food was 7.89% of all the money I spent. And if I go to, I don't know, transportation, you can see that that's 18%. I spent 18% of the money I spent that month on transportation. We can play around with this and find out which one I spent the most on. Is it travel? No, just 5% on travel. Bills, maybe. No, just 5% on bills. Personal. Wow, 21% of the money I spent that month was on personal. Probably predominantly this Xbox that I spent that I bought. Now I want to repeat this process on this side. So I'm going to click in this cell. I'm going to say it's equal to this value divided by, go to my transactions, sum, open brackets, and this time we're going to select this entire column, start dragging down, and then delete the two numbers to create the full column, close brackets, enter. And again, we've got a decimal. We just need to format that as percent. So this income, my wages, accounted for 84% of all of the money I earn. Final thing I'm going to do is take this cell, I'm going to put it in the middle, I'm going to make it bold, and I'm going to make it size 14, and this value I'm going to make it in the middle, size 14 and bold. Final thing I'm going to do on this page is select all the way down to the bottom. Well, I can just select the top 3 cells, then drag to the bottom, hold the shift key down and press D, and click on D1000 to select all of that area. I'm going to now add a border to the bottom of the cell of each of these rows. So I click on borders, click on border style. I'm going to choose this dotted line here, and I'm going to click on the horizontal borders, like so. So you can see it's added this horizontal border in between each one. I'm going to do the same on this side, so select the top 3 cells, scroll to the bottom, hold shift down and click on I1000 this time, and I'm going to select the border, check that it's still on the dotted line, and select the horizontal borders once more. So I've added borders all the way down to the bottom. Final thing I want to do is go to View and turn off the grid lines. And here we have our analysis page completed. We've got the proportion that is calculated from the information below. We've got a data validation to allow us to select the different categories that we want to analyze. We've got a filter function that is using our selection to choose which data to display. And we've got sum functions and a percentage function that is able to analyze that information that we have chosen to view. So that is the end of this tutorial. Hopefully your sheet will look something similar to this by the end of the tutorial. And in the next tutorial we'll finish this spreadsheet by finishing off this summary page. Thank you very much. I hope to speak to you soon. Bye-bye.